What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hammerstein and today I'm going to give you my review here of the Honor X9b. So this phone I've actually been using for the past 2 weeks or so, and I do want to share with you my thoughts and my opinions on this. And normally I like to break it down into 4 main segments over here just to give you guys a comprehensive overview of how this phone actually performed for me in my last 2 weeks of usage. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Alright, so we're going to talk about the holding experience with this phone. So this will cover the build, design, and the material on this. And what I can say about this is that it's really nice. Like, it doesn't really scream premium when it comes to the design or the material on this, but it still does feel very comfortable, and it does give you a good weight to it as well to make it not feel too cheap. So I really like the curved display over on the front here as well. Again, it does add a little bit of that premium feel goodness when it comes to your phone. Overall, the design isn't too bad at all. It does have a very shiny back over here. It doesn't attract a lot of fingerprints. So these are some things that I really do like and appreciate about this phone. But if you're looking for a very premium looking phone, this phone won't really give it to you, but it does give you a very solid design overall. You have the speakers on the bottom, you have the buttons, which is very easy to reach. Even though it's a very big phone, the buttons are still easy to reach in terms of the volume rocker and also the power button. Even when it comes to the fingerprint scanner, it's a little bit lower for my liking, but I think it doesn't take away from the whole experience. So with that being said, the holding experience on this, I would give it a solid 6 out of 10. Now let's talk about the viewing experience on this phone, and this will cover the speakers, the display, and also the haptics on this. And what I can say is that for the price point, for about 14.99 ringgit Malaysia, which does put it at about the $400 to $450 mark, I would say this one here, Honor has done a really good job. The only disappointing thing about this phone is of course the speakers, which I will talk about in a little bit. But first I want to talk about is the display. So at this price point, sometimes phones will give you a LCD panel, but I was actually quite impressed that the AMOLED panel here is really good. Again, at this price point, I didn't expect to get an AMOLED panel at first place, but again, even with an AMOLED panel, they sometimes might give you a cheaper one. But I would say that the AMOLED panel on this is really good. You get your 1200 nits, and in terms of peak brightness, so here in sunny Malaysia, you're still going to get a lot of that good display over here. You're still able to watch your videos, you're still able to go through your social media, so you don't have to really worry about it. You have a large display here as well, 6.78 inches of display. So in terms of the speakers, in terms of the display over here, it's really good. But the speakers, again, with most of this phone at this price range, this is where they kind of make it of a little bit of a cut-off. And here we have only a downright speaker, a mono speaker over here, which is very disappointing. Like I mentioned before, you already have a good display. Why not give us a simple stereo speaker setup over here to enjoy my content with that good display? So that is something that is really disappointing for me, because I really use my phone a lot to watch videos, to go through social media, so I really need a good set of speakers. Yeah, the speakers get loud, they get really clear as well, but the fact that if you're playing some games, or sometimes you're watching some shows where you need the sound to come out from left or right to give you a fuller immersive experience, you can't really get it with phones like this. So that is one thing that I'm actually quite sad or disappointed with it, but other than that, it's really nice. If we talk about the haptics on this as well, it's very decent. Of course, when it comes to gaming, it's not too bad as well. Don't expect the premium feel when it comes to the haptics, but overall it's still decent. So in terms of course, the viewing experience, I would give this a solid 6.5 out of 10. Next up here, let us talk about the user experience. So this will cover the internal specs, the software side of things, just basically how it performs on a daily basis. Inside here, it is powered by the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor, and even with the Snapdragon 695, I really find it to be really capable for most tasks. So here with a 6 Gen 1 processor, it's a new chip, so it's very decent as well. Of course, don't expect super good gaming sessions with this when it comes to like stuff like your Genshin Impact or your PUBG and all these other high-end games. But for simple stuff, if you're going through your multitasking, the RAM management here is really good. With 12 gigs, you can of course boost it up to 8 gigs over here. And in terms of just switching in between apps and of course having your apps open after long sessions as well, it's really good and decent. I didn't really notice a lot of lags and even a lot of stutters when I'm doing my simple tasks, like I mentioned before, just switching in between my social media apps and going through my emails and all that. So it's really good and capable. But of course, if we talk about the high-end stuff, it comes to super hardcore gaming, of course, like I mentioned before, you can't really expect that, but overall it's still really nice. If you talk about the software side of things, it's really fun as well. You have your typical Honor fashion over here, so you have all your good stuff like your assistive ball, you have your navigation dock and all these other good things. Again, these things you can still get it here with the Honor X9b, which I really do like. So in terms of the user experience on this, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. Alright, so last but not least, let us talk about the cameras here. So yes, in terms of the selfie department, it isn't the best. We are only given a 16 megapixel shooter, which can record up to 1080p at 30 FPS. I did wish that maybe it's able to give us at least 4K of recording over here. They can tweak it in the software, but you can't really get it. Maybe it's of course due to the processor that we have here not being able to do that with the 4K recording, but it's still pretty decent. If we talk about the rear cameras over here, yes, we have a massive 108 megapixel and all that goodness, but again, you can't really compare it to your flagship phones, but it still gives you that versatility when it comes to your ultra wide. When you're taking still shots over here with plenty of light, you still are able to get a lot of good images with good colors overall, so it's still pretty decent. And at this price point, you can't really complain and fault them too much on this. So for the camera experience on this, I gotta say I will give it a solid 7 out of 10. So with all that being said, who this phone is made for, that is of course how they have advertised this phone. So this phone over here, they have made it the toughest phone on the block over here. And most people will be wondering, why would I need a tough phone? And the question I would ask back is, why not? We have people that are like maybe your parents or maybe people who work in jobs where they have to move around a lot, where they drop their phones here and there. Sometimes they just want a phone that can withstand all of that pressure, of all that drops and all that mishaps that might happen. Because nowadays we know that if you want to repair your phone, your warranty doesn't really cover it anymore. You have to spend extra $100 to actually get the screen to be repaired. This phone over here is able to withstand a lot more in terms of the drops, in terms of your maybe if you scratch it or whatsoever. And I think this is a really good phone because it still delivers on most fronts. It still does give you a very solid experience for the price point at about $1,500, 1,500 ringgit, not dollars. But yeah, at this price point for about 400 bucks, you're still getting a solid phone, and you don't have to worry if like just somehow you dropped it on the floor or whatsoever. We all know about the experience where we have a screen crack or whatsoever. And with this phone, I think they have given the assurance of this phone to be able to withstand all of your daily kind of activities and routines. So if you know someone that actually would need a phone that can last them for few years or many years, but it still does give you a good software experience, I think this phone is the phone for them. Of course, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, do click the like and smash that subscribe button down below for more videos like this in the future. Do also follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Dr. Hamstang, and I'll see you guys in the next one.